On behalf of Stepan Rebrovich, who builds the powerful engine by hand. Ivanka Madsen, who sews every hand-fed stitch of the cabriolet top. Gerhard Royce, who tunes the radical suspension. On behalf of all those who contributed to the creation of your new Porsche 911, we would like to say thank you. In the 911, you have chosen something unique in cars today, a personality. One born in the art of hand craftsmanship and tested in the crucible of endurance racing. More rare than any metal, each component of the 911 contains over 30 years of Porsche racing heritage, which is why the 911 is like no other sports car. And so, together with our gratitude, we send you this presentation to make the process of getting to know your 911 even more enjoyable by revealing the performance heritage within and by answering the questions most often asked about the 911, the odd how-tos, and the deep, dark mysteries, such as, why is the ignition key on the left?
In the early days of Le Mans, when the cars were lined on one side and the drivers were on the other side, the start of the race would go and the drivers would have to run across and jump in their cars.
Hurley Haywood is the most winning endurance driver competing today, an achievement he attained exclusively in Porsche cars.
So Porsche decided, well, if they put the ignition on the left side, you could start it and put it into gear at the same time.
While Le Mans racers no longer sprint to their cars, Porsche's left-hand ignition remains as a quiet salute to some of our early victories. Others treat the tachometer as an afterthought. Why then does Porsche place it front and center?
The tach is the most important instrument on the dashboard. You know, sometimes I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but in a racing car, really the only gauge that I look at is that tachometer, because that really is telling me I have a shift point at 8,000, I don't want to go over it, so I have to continually look at that gauge.
The instrument panel reflects the race heritage of the 911.
Wolfgang Sander is the field service manager for Porsche Cars North America.
You have your tachometer and your speedometer and your major warning lights right in the middle in front of you.
We all know what an exclamation point means at the end of a sentence, but what does it mean in the middle of a dashboard?
In my Porsche race car on the dashboard, there's a big red light.
The central warning light alerts the driver to look at all the other instruments and all the other warning lights to see what's amiss.
Common in racing cars, it can be slightly alarming to a new Porsche owner.
The central warning light doesn't always indicate an emergency. It could be something as simple as low gasoline. You may be low on windshield washer fluid, or your brake pads may be nearing the end of their service life. And if it's something that's not of vital importance, push the exclamation point and the light would turn off.
Now for a real mystery. Why does the 911 have 3 oil gauges?
The 911 has an engine lubrication system which essentially comes from the racetrack. And since it's a unique system, it needs some unique indicator gauges.
The oil pressure gauge fluctuates a lot.
As soon as you start up an engine on any car, the oil pump will pressurize the oil in order to lubricate the engine.
But that gauge goes up and down. The only time that you really have to worry about it is if the engine is running and suddenly that goes down, then you stop immediately. The oil temperature gauge in a Porsche is your way of telling you what your engine temperature is. This is air-cooled. It doesn't have any water in it.
You don't have a water temperature gauge. So the temperature of the oil is your best indication as to the actual engine temperature.
The only time you really worry is when it gets into the red zone.
On most cars nowadays, the engine is lubricated by oil being pumped out of the oil pan into the engine's lubrication system. However, when you go around corners real fast, all the oil would slosh over to one side in the oil pan and the oil pump would only suck up air, therefore the engine would not be lubricated. On the 911, the oil is kept in a separate reservoir tank to the side, which assures that you have a constant supply of good oil.
The oil level gauge is just a gauge that basically tells you how much oil is in the reservoir tank. If it goes down to the red zone, that does not mean that you're out of oil.
If you'd like to check the oil level on your 911, you need to have the engine warmed up, pull the car on level ground, let it idle for about 20 seconds, and then look at your oil level gauge, and the needle should be somewhere within the right range.
In the 911, high performance does not always mean high maintenance. For example, if you've leafed through your scheduled maintenance, Those recommended fluid changes are not misprints.
You can go 15,000 miles in a Porsche before you have to change the oil.
And there are several reasons for that. One of them is that the car is filled with synthetic oil, more than 10 quarts of oil circulating through the engine. There are 2 oil filters, and the material that the cylinder liner is made of contains silicone and therefore requires less lubrication than it would otherwise.
All of that stuff really came directly from racing. How to make something reliable, how to make it last for a long time.
Another way maintenance has been reduced on the current 911 is through the use of J200 brake fluid. The advantage is that it does not need to be changed every year, but only once every 2 years.
So, are there any parts of the 911 that do require special care and feeding? Actually, there are 4. Your tires.
One of the reasons why this 911 handles so good is because they use a very soft compound tire.
But as a trade-off, these tires will also wear off a little bit faster.
High-performance tires are very worthwhile. You want to have the best possible tire you can to take all this technology and put it onto the ground. But there's a few things that you can do that help with the tires, and one is to keep the pressures correct on the tires. If you have too much pressure or you have too little pressure, you'll get excessive wear either on the outsides of the tires or in the middle of the tire.
Now here is a mystery. Why is there no keyhole in your car door?
There's no keyhole in the door because the remote transmitter will unlock the door and disarm the alarm system at the same time. The system can arm in 2 different fashions. One is that you exit the car, push the button, and the door will be locked and the anti-theft system will be activated. If you forget to do this after 90 seconds, the car will arm itself, and even though the doors are still open, you could not start the car.
I think the security system on the new 911s is fantastic.
Most insurance companies will grant discounts to owners of automobiles that have anti-theft systems like the current 911 has.
I spent a lot of money buying my Porsche, and I don't want anybody to take it away from me.
There's a battery inside this remote control transmitter, and you should replace it when the working range declines to about 5 feet.
In a car where form follows function, door keys are obsolete. So what about hood ornaments?
The crest on the front hood on the 911 actually serves 2 purposes. One is obviously to identify the car. The other one is, if you push on the crest, it's the easiest spot to close the front hood. Since you are closing into a closed compartment, you can't slam it down. All you need to do is push it down, and the hood will close real easily.
Now one last question. What can this car do for you?
The Porsche 911 is one of the most durable cars on the road. That's one of the reasons why I've won so many of these long-distance races. But if there's ever a problem, for any reason, Porsche is always there to help.
When you purchased your 911, you received free roadside assistance membership. To enjoy its benefits, please retain the temporary membership card enclosed with this video until your permanent card arrives in the mail. It entitles you to emergency assistance 24 hours a day, anywhere your heart may take you in the 50 United States and Canada. And in a Porsche 911, that's liable to be far indeed. To discover all the benefits of Porsche ownership, we encourage you to review the materials enclosed with this video and to read your owner's manual fully. Those who create the 911 and those who own it share something uncommon today, an ability to make the rare choice, the choice to take the more challenging road, the choice to do by hand what a machine might do without feeling, the choice to listen to one's heart and experience one car that was not created to be something for everyone, but everything to someone. Thank you for your choice.